This week we've started talking about objects made with classes. That's what we've been doing since the beginning. If you make a string or an integer, for example, you're using the string or integer class, but those are behind the scenes. We don't really think about it. If you make your own class, then it brings it to the forefront, and we need to think about these concepts. So we had a couple small assignments this week, and now I'm giving you one slightly bigger one. I'm going to give you this code that I made, and it's got a deck of cards, and you shuffle the deck and draw. The card class has a couple things. When you create it, it has a few attributes, and then if you want to print it, it's going to do the str, which is the string representation of this thing. And then when you run it, I'm going to draw two. I've got card 1, card 2, deck.pop. Pop means you take something off a list and return it. And so we can say, hey, we got the ace of diamonds, 5 of clubs, 6 of hearts, 9 of diamonds, etc. You can see the code fits all on one screen, which is how I typed it, but usually when I do videos, I'm going to zoom in and make it bigger. That's pretty big. Now, what I want you guys to do is check for some poker hands. We're going to say, do you have a pair? Do you have a straight? Do you have a flush? And this is just 2 cards, so it's a very simplified version. You're not working with 5 or 7 like in some poker games. But we want to start small. So for example, to have a straight, we just need 2 in a row, like the 4 of clubs and the 5 of diamonds. That would count. To have a flush, we just need 2, maybe jack of hearts and ace of hearts. Now, you don't have to type all this stuff. I've done this for you. The card class is very simple. And then creating the deck. This part looks pretty ugly, but that's why I did it for you, and you don't have to type the stuff. Each card, though, has a couple attributes, so let's talk about it. The full name is if you want to print the full thing, like 6 of hearts. Suit is just the suit. And then when it comes to the rank, I had to split it into 2 because sometimes you want to show the name, like Jack, but then sometimes you want to have a value like, instead of Jack, you want to treat it as 11 to tell whether it's more than a 10, for example. So then you can use those, and what I want you guys to add is this part. Check for a pair, check for a straight, check for a flush, and then if you didn't print it during that part, you can add a line later that says print whatever type of hand we got. This could be really tiny. This could be 3 lines, or it could be 7 or 8, depending on how you do it. And there are a couple ways to do it. For example, I would guess that most of you guys, your first thought is going to be, if something something, colon, do a line. If something something, colon, do a line. And that would work. It's not the only way, but that would work. Let's say we want to check for a pair. We can't just go card 1 equals card 2 because, well, first of all, in a pair, they're not really the same. Jack of hearts and jack of clubs are not exactly equal, but it still counts as a pair. And we could end up defining the equals in a way that works that way, but I don't think that'd be a great idea. So instead, you want to do something using the attributes. You could say card1.rank equals card2.rank, go from there. That might be a good way to check for a pair. But remember, that's not the only way to do it. When I typed my example, I ended up with no ifs. But we'll talk about next time some angles, some ways you could approach this. You could have a bunch of code right here, or you could send it off to a function that's going to do the analysis and send back an answer. Or you could add a method in the card that's like, hey, I'm going to send you another card and you're going to tell me if you match. Or you could add another class called hand, and then you send it multiple cards and it sends back whatever it got. That's what I would do if it was a 5-card game, by the way. But we can keep it really simple, and you can just do a couple lines right here, and then next time we'll talk about some pros and cons of each way, and are they easy to read, and are they helping you for the future, etc., etc. So remember, when you're using an object from a class, you want to scroll up and look at the class. Okay, what do I have to work with? What can I do? What can it tell me? And then you go down and use that stuff. Just like if you're working with a string, you might look up, oh, it's got a method called upper, or it's got a method called replace, and then you do that. So today I'm going to post this on Google Classroom, and I'm going to give you some time to mess around. Some of you guys might get it, and if that's the case, you could look ahead and you could think about, what if I have 3 cards? How would that go? What if I have 2 players? How would that go? Endless possibility. Thanks.